Welcome to the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. Are you over 40 and tired of struggling with your weight, dieting, and constantly feeling like you're starting over with nutrition and fitness? Do you wish you had more energy? Do you want to lose weight and finally keep it off for good? I'm Lil, a certified nutrition coach and former registered nurse. I too have been there, and at the age of 44, I decided I was done with fad diets and chasing a lower number on the scale. I was so tired of constantly starting over and wondering why I couldn't get lasting results. I became a nutrition coach and created the Feel Your Best formula for women who want to build muscle, lose fat, and keep it off for good. If you're ready to build a better relationship with food, the scale, and your body, let's build your formula for feeling your best. If you're new here, make sure to check the episode details for the link to my newbie starter guide. You'll receive an email straight to your inbox with everything you need to start building your Feel Your Best formula. I'm so glad you're here. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hey guys, episode 16 of the Feel Your Best formula. I'm Lil, and today we are talking about the topic of dinner time. And I'm going to be sharing with you the solution if you are someone who wants to stay on track with healthy eating and also feed the rest of your family in a way that's going to keep them happy. And if that is something that you've struggled with, then this episode is for you. Now, I remember back in November, before I started this podcast, one of my biggest fears was, am I going to run out of things to talk about? You know, do I really want to start this podcast? And am I going to be struggling every week to think of topics and what the heck? It can be so daunting when you start something new. And yet here I am today with this huge list of topics where I literally, every time I go to record an episode, I'm thinking to myself, which one of these should I do? Because they all seem so important. But the reason I'm choosing this topic is because this was actually a conversation that I had with my friends, and I knew, you know what, if this was such a hot topic with them, then I know that is going to be important to you guys. If you follow my Instagram, I've definitely shared this on there, and I will continue to. So if you want more ideas, make sure you go over and follow me on Instagram at Life with Lilius on Instagram. And so let's get into it. Today's topic is something that I just know so many of you have struggled with, and it could be perhaps a reason that you are avoiding getting started with some, healthier eating habits, or maybe it's a reason that you've kind of given up other diets or meal plans or ways of eating in the past because you just found it really hard to balance your own needs with the needs of your family and the logistics that surround that. Now, there could be many different reasons that you feel like you need to change your eating. It could be something along the lines of you just feel uncomfortable, you've gained some weight, you want to take off some weight, maybe you want to gain some muscle, or things that would be of more concern and make it a more urgent matter would be perhaps you've been told you have hypertension, high blood pressure. Perhaps you've been told that your blood sugar levels are indicating that you are pre-diabetic. Perhaps you have some cholesterol issues, and all of those things can be positively affected by losing some weight, which would necessitate being intentional and mindful with the foods that you're eating. So whatever the reason is, if you are motivated to start eating healthier, but you've been wondering about, the logistics of staying on track when you do live with other people, you share a home with other people, then this episode is hopefully going to be eye-opening and really helpful for you. Now, If you have a family where everyone sits down and just gobbles up the same food, then this probably isn't going to be an episode that you find really helpful. But I'm going to show you exactly how to get dinner on the table in a way that's not only going to save you time, but it's going to match your diet goals and satisfy how your family, the other family members, want to eat. So if you have any of the following dynamics in your home, then you're really going to find this podcast helpful. So if you have personal goals for fat loss, muscle gain, whatever, eating healthier, you're going to be following a plan, you're going to be learning, and it's going to be an educational experience for you in the beginning, right? Anytime we do something new, it's uncomfortable, we're learning, it's not second nature yet. So you really are putting a lot more effort in than, say, after you've been eating that way for 3 to 6 months. And then at the same time, you may have family members in your house with completely different nutritional needs. I live with 2 teenage boys who are very active and need to eat like 3,000 calories a day. And I need to make sure that the dinners that they're eating are providing those calories and nutrients that they need. And it's far and above what I need. There is no reason that I should be eating the same exact meal as them. Additionally, you may have people in your home with food allergies. And honestly, if you do have family members with food allergies, you're probably already doing some of these things already that I'm going to talk about. If you have kids with food sensory issues and they just don't like certain foods, then yeah, you don't want to be continuously fighting with them to eat foods that just don't work for them. Or you might even have a family member. Usually this is another adult, maybe a partner or a parent who lives with you, who just want to eat the foods that they want to eat. They're not interested in changing their diet at all. And what you're going to be eating is not what they want to eat. So basically you're in your home. Not everyone is going to be eating the same meal, and you're really struggling to find meals that quote unquote everyone likes. And I think you need to let go of that, okay? As soon as I let go of this notion that I should be looking for these meals that every single person in my family is going to enjoy, everything changed, everything got easier. I started using this approach and everyone was so much happier. And if you're having a hard time staying on track with your goals right now, or like I said, maybe you just don't even want to get started because you're catering to the needs of the other members of your family, then that's where we really need to hold ourselves accountable and realize, you know what, we do have to prioritize our own health and wellness so that we can be our best for our family. So if we're pointing the finger at our kids or our partner and saying, well, they're the reason that I'm, filling up on these nutrient dense meals that are not in alignment with my health and wellness goals, then that's really an excuse. And it's time to look in the mirror and just say, listen, I'm going to figure this out. It's really not that complicated and I can do this. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I do also want to address a topic that's probably one of the biggest obstacles that a lot of people face, especially if they have a partner who is also struggling with their weight, is overweight, obese. I've seen it time and time again where my clients would be really successful, sometimes losing 20, 30, 40 pounds. And that became a point of contention within their marital partnership where their husband really just didn't like it. And they would start to sabotage them and be taking them out to meals that were really difficult for them to stay on track with their eating and bringing home treats and things like that. And it's a very interesting psychological, maybe some codependency. I'm not a psychologist, but I wanted to bring up this topic because I do feel that it plays a role in these dinner time habits and the choices that we make at dinner time. If you're living with someone, it could even be maybe a mother or a sibling. But most of the time it's the partner that wants to have their buddy where they're in the same space and it's more comfortable for them to have that relationship where They are both eating the same way, having the same habits. And I would just say, you don't owe anyone anything except for yourself. And if someone is uncomfortable with you bettering yourself and making yourself healthier, which to me is just a really destructive relationship, if someone's not going to support you to reach your goals and be your healthiest possible, it doesn't mean they have to do it, but I would really hope that your partner would support you in it. I'm just sharing this because I have seen it over and over. And if that is an obstacle that you're facing, then it's something where you need to make the decision, am I going to stand my ground? Am I going to move towards my goals? Or am I going to go back? Do I want to make my partner more comfortable because they're uncomfortable with the choices that I'm making? So it's not saying that people are even doing it intentionally or consciously. Psychology, relationships, our relationship with food, our relationship with our bodies are all very complicated and nuanced. But at the end of the day, we are the ones who are responsible for the body that we live in. And I've seen it far too many times where a partner or family member can threaten the success of someone living their healthiest life because it is uncomfortable for them to face the reality of watching their partner succeed. So it's definitely a pretty common thing out there. So if you've found yourself struggling with a partner who does this, just know you're not alone. And like I said, I can't get into all the aspects of this scenario, but I want to mention it. And I definitely recommend you listen to my episode on self-accountability, because that can really help you move towards taking ownership of how are you going to eat? How are you going to move your body? And recognizing that it is no one's job but yours to make sure that you live your best life. Now, the people you surround yourself with, along with the environment of your home, have a huge impact on making your goals easier or harder to achieve. And I think it's really important to have a conversation with your family before you make these changes that I talk about. You can sit down with your kids, ask them, what vegetables do you like? What fruits do you like? Do you like rice? Do you like pasta? And just really get a running list of what are the foods that work for your family and for your each individual family member. So also, I want to address, and I'm going to be calling some of you out here on this one, but I've also seen this happen where we can use our kids and our kids' picky eating to sabotage ourselves. If you're doing this, you need to stop, because I'm sorry, but if your kid only wants to eat mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and pizza for dinner, that's fine for them. But you're the adult and you need to take charge of the food that you are putting in your body. It is not your child's responsibility to make it easy for you to reach your goals. So we have to stop blaming any other member of our family. And by using this method that I'm sharing with you, I don't really think any member of your family can complain. Everyone can be happy. You can be happy. Your partner can be happy. Your kids can be happy. Your parents can be happy, whoever you live with. So on the surface, it can seem like dinner isn't very complicated, but when you throw in the logistical realities of juggling work schedules, kids' activities, you can definitely run into some serious time restraints. I know there have been times in my family where I've needed to eat in the car. My kids have needed to eat in the car on the way to certain activities, or I've fed my kids at 3:30, 4 p.m., fed them an actual dinner at that time because that's the only option we have. And then I'm giving them a lighter snack, when we get home from activities. So that's just the logistical piece, figuring out when is everyone going to eat? Is everyone going to eat at the same time? Are you going to be making food earlier and then people are going to be eating at different times in the day? And then you also need to bring in the individual needs and desires of each family member. Again, depending on your family dynamics, are there any medical conditions, likes, dislikes? And you can find yourself with some very unhappy customers at the dinner table if you are trying to feed everyone the same exact meal, and that just doesn't work for everyone. So in my family, we do have more traditional roles. So I am in charge of the vast majority of the cooking, like 99% of the cooking is me. Although my kids I'm teaching them how to cook. I mean, they got to be ready when they move off to college, to at least know the basics. But my husband doesn't really do any cooking unless he's smoking or grilling in the summertime. So I'm responsible for the meal planning, the shopping, and if that's something that's shared with other family members, then this is something you would want to communicate, talk about, and make it part of your routine. If you don't really have a way of meal planning or system, then definitely check out my 15-minute meal planner because it's really going to simplify that whole meal planning system for you. I could go on, but here's my point. Every single family is its own unique snowflake when it comes to mealtime. And that's why one-size-fits-all approaches do not work for most of us when it comes to eating intentionally. And for years, I tried to make meals that would work for me and that my family would eat. And as I said, it just did not work. We are so much happier with the way that I've been doing things now, and I really want to share that with you. So some of what I'm going to say may sound familiar because I alluded to some of this in my episode about ingredient prep versus meal prep. Except I was really talking about in that episode the difference between meal prepping for, your fitness, weight loss goals. And tonight I'm talking about just enjoying a meal with your family, but a lot of the principles are the same. I will say that ingredient prep is a game changer, and it's such a versatile, great way to approach all your meals. So you can use it with the intention of, weight loss, fitness goals, health and wellness goals, or you can just use it to make your life easier. So here's the benefits that I've found by using my ingredient prep method, which is we're wasting a lot less food. Everyone in the family is eating more nutritious, nutrient-dense foods, especially at dinner time. My kids are actually not snacking as much. And I think what would happen in the past is my kids would eat kind of like the bare minimum of dinner. So it could be acceptably called like, oh, I ate dinner. But they weren't really getting all the calories that they needed because they were kind of picking and they didn't necessarily love every single thing that was in front of them. And so then they would be snacking more. Also, more food items are going to be available to you to throw together a quick lunch or a snack. So generally speaking, it just makes eating healthy easier. And most importantly, everyone's happy at mealtime and you can focus on the conversation and connection. There have been so many studies done about how important mealtime is for family connection. And it's something that is important to me, and we don't always get to sit down and eat dinner together. But I will tell you, it's so much more pleasant to joke, laugh, have a conversation rather than be arguing and telling my kid to eat the broccoli that's in front of him. Okay, so let's get to it. Here's how to stay on track with your own goals and keep the whole family happy. So, as I said, check out my 15-minute meal planner. The link's going to be in the show details of whatever podcast app you're listening to. Because I lay out all the steps to make meal planning family friendly, and you can plan a whole week of meals in just 15 minutes. And I was trying to figure out how to best explain this process that I'm going to share with you. And so I thought maybe just sharing an example is really the best way. And then you can extrapolate that and start to apply it to your life. And I'm also going to show you some differences here in how I do things. Okay, so keep in mind, I have 2 teenage boys that require a ton of calories. And when I realized they were snacking and not eating as much food at meals, that's when I started to make these changes. So this might sound a little odd to you, as I share what the solution is, but I will say I notice a huge difference in their consumption of proteins and veggies once I made these changes. So I know food can be a huge power struggle in some families, but if your kid is really gagging and really struggling with certain foods, they really could have a sensory disorder. And I really encourage you to explore that with your pediatrician, and work with them. Ask them what foods they like and don't like, and make a list of the foods they enjoy and make sure that you have those on hand. Food sensory disorders are a very real thing and can really wreak havoc on mealtime if you're constantly fighting, forcing food on a kid who genuinely has a physical reaction to eating foods that seem absolutely disgusting to them. So I just wanted to put that in there because I know that sometimes we can fight over these things. And I would say if you can work with your child and make sure that they have foods available that are palatable to them, it's just going to make everyone happier. Of course, doing this under the guidance of your pediatrician, registered dietitian, etc. So let's say, for example, I'm planning my meals for next week. Generally, I'm choosing a main dish or meal that I am making fresh that night. And you absolutely don't have to do that. You could definitely ingredient prep everything that you need ahead of time and just assemble your meal each night. But I do like to have an actual sort of main dish made most nights. Generally speaking, when you're planning your meals, you want to have a protein, a carb, and some healthy fats. Hopefully your carbs are whole grain and your fats are, again, like I said, healthier fats like olive oil, avocado, stuff like that. You can plan your main meal with the sides that you want to eat. So example, something that I would make is salmon, quinoa, and broccoli. Now, in addition to this quote unquote main meal, which is a salmon, quinoa, and broccoli, you're going to serve additional options that match the foods the rest of your family likes. You could absolutely cook additional foods at the same time. Sometimes I'll do that. I would maybe make the quinoa and some egg noodles at the same time. Or you can simply keep on hand in your refrigerator the foods that you know the other members of your family like and that you're going to serve with the meal. And personally in my house, proteins are not a huge problem. I do have one kid that's a bit pickier about meat, but generally the protein that I serve is received pretty well. In this example, salmon is something that everyone in my family happily eats. However, I would definitely need to have some additional side dishes for everyone to have a complete meal. I have one kid who loves broccoli, another one who won't eat it. So therefore, I'll make sure to have some green beans or asparagus, or maybe make a salad so that there's a vegetable available that can be mixed and matched with the meal. Neither of my kids likes quinoa, and even though that's something that is really important to me and really helps me reach my eating goals, my kids are not going to eat it. So I would either have some pasta that I've cooked ahead of time or microwave a potato perhaps. And I also serve fruit with almost every single meal. So this is where the ingredient prep can come in really handy. And basically what I'm describing to you is a mini buffet where you have all these different dishes and you have one kid that likes, maybe if you had a kid that likes quinoa and didn't like broccoli, they're going to have the quinoa and then they're going to have the green beans. But I'll put together some ideas for you that can kind of get you thinking about this. So for example, if one of your kids or other family member is not happy with the protein that you made, you could have something like edamame, Greek yogurt, a protein shake, rotisserie chicken. I buy at least one rotisserie chicken a week. I take it home, I let it cool off, and I just shred it and put it in a meal prep container. And it is always there for people to snack on or substitute for a meal. Even things like frozen chicken nuggets, frozen chicken patties, keep those in your freezer. You can throw those in the air fryer, and there you have a quick protein. Also hard-boiled eggs. As far as carbs, the ones in my family that are the most popular are the protein pasta. I get the Barilla Plus protein pasta. My family also really loves egg noodles. And then rice. I always get the frozen rice packets from Trader Joe's, and you can also get the minute rice. It takes like 90 seconds to microwave those. You can get those at pretty much any mainstream grocery store. So really easy to have rice on hand. You can do brown rice, jasmine rice, whatever. I don't tend to get the ones that have any real flavoring. I get the plain ones, and then I like to add my own flavorings to it. Something as simple as some bread and butter can be a good carb for one of your kids. Also, ramen packets, and like I said, fruit. I'm always cutting up oranges. We've got grapes, berries, and serving those in addition to the meal. And then for veggies, the easiest are the bagged salads. You can get the microwave bags of veggies, or just have some raw tomatoes, peppers, carrots, cucumbers, serve those with some ranch dip, or roast up some veggies ahead of time. There's just so many quick and easy ways you can have healthy foods prepared. Sweet potato, you can throw those in the microwave as well. The list goes on and on. When you're looking for solutions, you will find them. You can also have sauces, cheese, a little bit of butter. I'd love to have Parmesan butter, something that my kids will do, like a little bit of butter, not Parmesan butter, Parmesan cheese, sprinkle that on their pasta. You can put things like chimichurri, pesto. You can mix that with rice to amp up the flavor. It doesn't have to be boring. So I know there's no way I can address everyone's own special situation. Every family is unique and has styles and, food that is something that is with your culture. And, there's all different ways that food is part of our family dynamic. But whatever your challenges are, I would say you can use this method to just make mealtime so much easier and so much more enjoyable. And ask yourself, how can you think outside the box? I know we have these traditional ways of thinking, what dinner time looks like, but ask yourself, how can you make dinner time work for your family? And oftentimes letting go of some of these old rules and ideas that you've placed on yourself or that other people have placed on you is really the first step to finding solutions that work for everyone. And if what you're doing right now is not working for you, then guess what? It's your responsibility to figure it out as a parent, as an individual who has a responsibility to your family, to your community, to be as healthy as possible. Sometimes you need to think outside the box and just try new things. It's okay to let everyone in your family eat the foods that work best for them. And as long as you're not wasting food or, in some other way being wasteful or disrespectful, then I really don't see what the issue is. I know that we have a lot of old-fashioned beliefs that, just should make a dinner and eat what's in front of you and appreciate what's in front of you, but that isn't necessarily the world that we live in. We are very privileged to have so many options available to us. And stop overcomplicating things. This method is just so simple. Anything that does not get eaten gets packed up, put in the fridge, can be used for a lunch or another dinner, or maybe even breakfast, who knows? So this all creates a happier, healthier dinner time vibe. I feel like, honestly, I've only scratched the surface here, but I hope you found this helpful. And if you do use some of these ideas to make some changes to your family routine, I would love to hear about it. So pop me an email, lil@liliuslewis.com, or send me a DM on Instagram. I do share all of these types of ideas. I'm always sharing meal ideas, meal prep ideas on there. So head on over and follow me over there. And I think that's it. I thought that this topic is something that so many people could benefit from. So let me know what you think, and I will see you on next week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Feel Your Best Formula podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to check the episode details for my new listener starter guide, and any additional resources mentioned in the episode can also be found in the show notes on my website. You can always find me on Instagram at Macros with Lil, and for more healthy lifestyle tips, recipes, and information on my one-to-one and group coaching services, make sure to check out my website. All the links can be found below. If you know someone else who is ready to start building their formula for feeling their best, please share the love and send them a link to the podcast. I hope you found today's episode helpful, and I'll see you back here next week for a brand new one.